there and welcome to the news at 6 here on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm PC Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you the day's top developing stories. Let's start with the headlines. Rajya Sabha bids farewell to 53 retiring members on the last day of the budget session, appreciates their rich contribution to the functioning of the upper house. Prime Minister Narendra Modi too addresses retiring members of the Rajya Sabha, regrets that GST could not be passed during their term. The National Investigation Agency drops all charges against religious leader Sadhvi Pragya Thakur and 5 others in the Malegaon blast case. Congress attacks Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Rajnath Singh for the NIA clean chit. And in a landmark judgment, Supreme Court retains the defamation law. Apex Court observes that the right to freedom of speech is not an absolute right. The top story this evening, the budget session of Parliament has come to a close. While Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die on Wednesday, Rajya Sabha bid farewell to 53 members on its last day today on Friday. Addressing the retiring members, Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari also underscored the importance of serious debates in Parliament. Here are more details.
Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari led the House of Elders in appreciating the rich and significant contribution of the retiring members. Underlining the significance of meaningful debate and dialogue, he said that public life is a continuum.
Every member retiring has contributed significantly to the functioning of the House and in the process to nurturing and strengthening our parliamentary democracy. You leave behind an indelible legacy that will continue to enrich the parliamentary proceedings in the future. I wish all the retiring members good health, happiness, and a modicum of leisure and many more years of service to the nation.
Deputy Chairman P.J. Kurian stressed that retirement is merely a change of position.
In common parlance, retirement means retiring from the official work, formal work, and take rest. But for a politician, retirement doesn't mean that. In fact, no politician retires. And for Rajya Sabha members, retirement has a different connotation. That some of them may be, as you have already said, some of them may be coming back to this house. Some of them may be taking up better positions. Actually, retirement from Rajya Sabha is only a change of position.
Party leaders also joined in bidding farewell to the retiring members. Deputy Leader of Congress Anand Sharma highlighted the important bills passed by the upper house and expressed disappointment on the slugfest over GST bill. Meanwhile, SP leader Ram Gopal Yadav alleged excessive interference by the judiciary in the sphere of legislation. Sharad Yadav backed fixing accountability of the media houses.
कई ऐसे निर्णय, कई ऐसे कानून जो ज़रूरी थे, जो रुके रहे, वो पारित हुए. हम बधाई देते हैं तमाम उन सदस्यों को. इसी सदन ने बांग्लादेश के साथ लैंड बाउंड्री एग्रीमेंट जो बरसों से रुका था वो पास किया. इसी सदन ने इंश्योरेंस का बिल जो 7 बरस से रुका था उसको पास किया. परसों इसी सदन ने इंसॉल्वेंसी और बैंक्रप्सी का वो पास किया. तो इस सदन का एक महत्वपूर्ण योगदान रचनात्मक दृष्टिकोण हमेशा बना है.
संसद को और राज्यसभा के लोगों को आम तौर पर इस बात की चिंता है कि जो हमारा अधिकार क्षेत्र है उसमें हिंदुस्तान की न्यायपालिका अनावश्यक हस्तक्षेप करती जा रही है और हमारे अधिकारों पर इनका इंक्रोचमेंट कर रही है. इस पे आज नहीं तो कल, हमें नहीं तो आने वाले लोगों को सोचना पड़ेगा.
जो खास करके मीडिया है वो हमारी आज़ादी के बाजू में खड़ा होकर के देश और दुनिया को और सदन को ठीक चलाने के लिए है. लेकिन इतना ज़रूर कहना चाहता हूँ, इस पर भी राम गोपाल जी ने कहा उस पर तो चर्चा हो, लेकिन एक बड़ी चर्चा यहाँ होना चाहिए कि हमारी भी मर्यादा और हमारी आज़ादी क्या है.
Mayawati of the BSP called for introspection by parliamentarians in the wake of alleged excessive judicial scrutiny. She also voiced her support to the GST bill. Meanwhile, TMC and BJD stressed on the importance of discussion in the upper house.
जुडिशरी में काफ़ी जो हमारा ये पार्लियामेंट है, जो विधायिका है खास तौर से उसको लेकर बहुत कुछ दखल दिया जा रहा है। मैं समझती हूँ इसमें भी कहीं ना कहीं हमें अपने गिरेबान में झांक कर देखना होगा कि जुडिशरी इसका फ़ायदा क्यों उठा रही है।
कभी कभी ये लोग अपने दल और राजनीति से ऊपर उठ के देश के हित में, जनहित में अपना फैसला लिया और बहुत सारे बिल पारित करने में अपना योगदान दिया। जब कांग्रेस का सरकार थे उस समय भी, जब बीजेपी का सरकार है उस समय भी।
53 members from the states of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Odisha, Maharashtra, Punjab, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar and Jharkhand complete their term of office in June and July. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And addressing the retiring members of the upper house, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also expressed regret that the GST bill could not be passed during their tenure. Modi said that states would have reaped maximum benefits if parliamentary approval was accorded to the GST bill.
In the backdrop of the goods and services tax bill failing to see the light of the day during the budget session of Parliament, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reflected on what effect the law would have had on a unified tax regime in the country. He noted that Rajya Sabha members were representatives of the states and the tax reform measure would have benefited the states immensely.
आपकी मौजूदगी में दो ऐसे निर्णय होते तो जिस राज्य को आप रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं वो राज्य आपके प्रति हमेशा हमेशा गर्व अनुभव करता। एक जीएसटी, ताकि जो बिहार से यहाँ आते हैं जीएसटी से बिहार का भरपूर लाभ होने वाला था, यूपी को भरपूर लाभ होने वाला था। एक या दो राज्य को छोड़कर के सब राज्यों को भरपूर फायदा होने वाला था।
Modi also voiced discontent over the non-passage of the Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and the Planning Authority Bill. He underscored that the states would have received 42,000 crore rupees with the passage of the Camp Park Bill. The bill seeks to establish the National Compensatory Afforestation Fund to promote afforestation and regeneration activities as a way of compensating forest land diverted to non-forest uses.
करीब-करीब एक राज्य को 2000-3000 करोड़ रुपए के आसपास पैसे मिलने वाले थे और ये पैसे 2000-3000 करोड़ रुपया कम रकम नहीं होती है। ये फॉरेस्ट्री के लिए मिलने वाले थे और ये वर्षा की सीजन में ये पैसे सर्वाधिक काम आ सकते थे।
Expressing gratitude to the retiring members, the Prime Minister said that the 53 members in their 6-year tenure have seen 2 governments. Conveying his best wishes, he thanked them for their contribution to important policy decisions. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to other national news, and the NIA today dropped all charges against Sadhvi Pragya Thakur and 5 others in the 2008 Malegaon blast case, citing lack of evidence against them. The stringent Mokoka law was also dropped against all the other 10 accused, including Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit. The opposition, though, slammed the BJP government, accusing it of shielding its own people. Here's a report.
In a big relief to the 2008 Malegaon blast accused, the NIA today dropped all charges against Pragya Thakur and 4 others, while charges under the stringent Mokoka law were dropped against all the other 10 accused, including Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Shrikant Purohit. In its charge sheet submitted to a Mumbai special court, the NIA said that sufficient evidence was not found against the accused, adding that the prosecution against them was not maintainable.
There was a lot of political layering over these cases, and a lot of people were sort of projected as being the face of one kind of terrorism, another, in this case, saffron terrorism and so on and so forth. So there is, Malegaon 2006 and 2008 have happened, but I don't think necessarily the ATS and the NIA got the right accused in these cases.
The significant development will pave the way for a discharge and early release from jail for Sadhvi Pragya and other accused. However, Lieutenant Colonel Purohit and 9 others will now be tried for charges including murder and conspiracy under the provision of Anti-Terror Law UAPA, IPC, Arms Act and Explosive Substance Act. The opposition has slammed the BJP government for the exoneration of the accused.
The National Investigative Agency, जो कि आतंकवादी गतिविधियों के जांच के लिए बनाई गई थी, आज उन्हें बचा रही है जो स्पष्ट रूप से आतंकवादी गतिविधियों में शामिल है।
निश्चित रूप से केंद्र की सरकार एनआईए चीफ को 1 साल का एक्सटेंशन देके उनसे अपने काम करा रही है। सत्ता का दुरुपयोग है और भारतीय जनता पार्टी इस देश की सुरक्षा और कानून व्यवस्था से खेल रही है, जो देश के लिए घातक है।
There have been a lot of twists and turns in the probe. The case was investigated initially by Joint Commissioner of Mumbai's ATS, Hemant Karkare, who was killed during the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack. ATS had booked 16 people but filed charge sheets against 14 accused. The NIA took over the case in 2011 after investigation and said that the case was fabricated and the statements of witnesses were taken under force. 7 people were killed and 80 injured in the September 29 blast in 2008. The blast is said to be the first major case in which the involvement of right-wing Hindu extremists came to the fore. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, in a landmark verdict, the Supreme Court today dismissed a batch of petitions against the constitutional validity of the defamation law. The Supreme Court has ruled that the provisions are valid and do not violate the Constitution. Several political bigwigs had filed petitions in the top court, but the court said that people charged with criminal defamation will have to face trial. Here's a report.
A verdict with far-reaching consequences. The Supreme Court on Friday upheld the constitutional validity of penal provisions on defamation law, observing that the right to freedom of speech is not an absolute right.
Article 21 envisages that right to life is right to life with dignity. And nobody has a right to encroach upon that dignity, which is a fundamental right of a person. In that reasoning, the Supreme Court has upheld, in this, what I feel it is, that it is this section is not ultra vires anything. It is not as if only money can substitute it. It has got other connotations as well.
The bench passed a judgment on a batch of petitions filed by Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, BJP leader Subramanian Swamy and others. The bench directed magistrates across the country to be extremely careful in issuing summons on private complaints on defamation. The top court said we have to strike a balance between fundamental rights to freedom of speech and the reputation of an individual. The court also added that it was difficult to say that criminal defamation has a chilling effect on freedom of speech and expression. The right of reputation under Article 21 of Constitution cannot be allowed to be crucified at the altar of freedom of speech.
जो घोटालेबाज इस देश के अंदर जो भ्रष्टाचारी हैं वो इस कानून का फायदा उठाते हैं और जो विसल ब्लोअर्स हैं जो भ्रष्टाचार को उजागर करते हैं उनके ऊपर दबाव डालने की कोशिश करते हैं और इसके बहाने से उनका विक्टिमाइजेशन करने की कोशिश करते हैं। बहुत अच्छा होता अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट आज इस अपने फैसले में इसको डिक्रिमिनलाइज कर देता।
The court ruled that sections 499 and 500 of the IPC dealing with the criminal defamation and section 119 of the Code of Criminal Procedure are constitutionally valid, dismissing the pleas of setting aside these sections. The constitutional validity of penal laws on defamation was challenged on the ground that they were outmoded and inconsistent with right to freedom of speech and expression. The Indian Penal Code makes defamation an offence punishable by up to a 2-year jail term. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena today arrived in India to build on the bilateral ties between the two countries. He will hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi over dinner and attend events of the Simhastha Mahakumbh in Ujjain. Sirisena will also address the valedictory session of the Vaicharik Mahakumbh, which is being held as part of the Simhastha Mahakumbh in Ujjain on the 14th of May. He will also visit Sanchi, where he will see the world-famous stupa and attend the function by the Mahabodhi Society of Sri Lanka to unveil a statue of Angarika Dharmapala. Sirisena is on a 2-day visit to India. This is his second visit to the country in 17 months. With that, a quick break here. We'll be back with more news in a bit. Stay with us.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Now, the Supreme Court today asked the centre to release all the outstanding and necessary funds for the Manrega scheme to the respective states. The Apex Court directed the government to pay compensation for delayed wages to the farmers in drought-affected areas. It also directed the states to appoint commissioners for effective implementation of public distribution system. The bench directed the government to ensure compensation for crop loss in such areas. It also maintained that the midday meal scheme should be continued throughout summer season in drought-affected areas. It had directed the Secretary, Agriculture Ministry, to urgently hold a meeting with the Chief Secretaries of Bihar, Gujarat and Haryana to review the drought situation with all the available data. Meanwhile, people in Banda district in Bundelkhand are reeling from a double blow. While on one hand, the drought has completely destroyed rural economy, on the other, the assistance promised and distributed by the administration is not reaching the recipients. Here's a special report by Rajya Sabha TV's Arvind Kumar Singh.
Atharhat villager. Ramratan is a small farmer. These days, making two ends meet is a daily struggle. Unseasonal rains and hailstorms destroyed his crops for 2 years in a row. As assistance, the government gave him and his brother Ghansham checks of 750 rupees each. But by then, both compensation checks had expired. The brothers spent 1,000 rupees visiting the Tehsil and block offices to get the money. Finally, they gave up the struggle, fearing it could cost them more than what they will get. Moreover, the destroyed crop has saddled them with huge losses.
राज्य सरकार की ओर से मुझे कुछ नहीं मिला, सूखा राहत आया था तो कहा गया कि मिलेगा, आपके खाते में आ जाएगा। मेरे खाते में कोई भी पैसा नहीं आया। न मुझको एक चेक दी गई है जो आज भी मेरे पास रखी है मौजूद, वो भी 700 रुपए की है, तो वो मैं बैंक में गए, बैंक वालों ने मुझको वापस कर दिया।
Farming has come to a standstill in Banda district. The region is famous for its tur crop. Tur even sold at 200 rupees a kilo recently. But the farmers here did not get even 20 rupees a kilo.
अरहरी को कुछ नहीं करते यहाँ, और फसल में कुछ ठिकाना है ही नहीं है। गेहूं तो बहुत सारा आएगा है, गेहूं नहीं कुछ नहीं करता है, 2 कुंटल का दिखा कर कुंटल भर के गिरे थे।
If this is the plight of the farmers, the state of the labourers and the very poor can only be guessed. The 15 lakh population of the district are in the grip of a savage drought. But distribution, whether of food or assistance, favors only a fortunate few. The administration is insensitive.
हमको सरकार कोई मुआवजा नहीं मिला। लेखपाल हमारा नंबर ले गया, वहाँ बोलता है कि हर बार जो बोलते हैं कि सर पैसा नहीं हमारे खाते में गया, तो कहता है कि तुम्हारे खाते में मैंने भेज दिया। अच्छा। हाँ, वो सर हमको पैसे ही नहीं मिलता। हम कई बार सर दौड़ के हम गए।
The stories on the ground reveal the true state of affairs in Banda, but the district administration continues to make tall claims. Fields that used to yield no less than a quintal once are unable to produce even 10 kilos. Fields are lying fallow, and compassion that needs to be on display is missing in the relief work. This is Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV from Banda.
And now let's take you through some more national news updates in Nationwide. Suspended JDU MLC Manorama Devi today filed an anticipatory bail petition in the district court in connection with the recovery of liquor bottles from a house during a search. Manorama Devi's counsel further claimed that she has been implicated in the case as the allegations levelled against her are false. The Prakash Singh Committee probing the role of police and civil administration officials during the Jat reservation stir today submitted its report to the Haryana government. The report points towards negligence on part of certain officials in controlling the situation. The world's largest cargo aircraft, commonly known as the Dream, made its first landing in India today at the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad. The wide-body aircraft is powered by 6 turbofan engines and is the longest and heaviest plane ever built, with a maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons. The Northwestern Division of Indian Railways will soon commence trials of coaches fitted with solar panels. Railways are hoping to reduce 239 tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually by saving approximately 90,800 litres of diesel per rake. The first trial run will be conducted in the next 3 to 4 days in Jodhpur. All right, international news now, starting with Brazil, where Michel Temer has taken over as the interim president of the country after the Senate voted to oust Dilma Rousseff. Temer unveiled an all-male, conspicuously wide cabinet and promised to restore confidence in Latin America's biggest economy.
Brazil's new interim president, Michel Temer, has taken reins after Dilma Rousseff's suspension by the Senate. On day one, he addressed the nation and immediately implemented several new changes in the government. But not all of them went down well. He unveiled a cabinet that trimmed the number of ministers from 31 to 22, but was entirely made up of whites and no women. Temer has called for unity and said his primary task was to restore Brazil's credibility so it could attract investment.
Em minha primeira palavra ao povo brasileiro é a palavra confiança. Confiança nos valores que formam.
Rousseff was stripped of her powers on Thursday after losing a preliminary impeachment vote in the Senate. This followed a similar crushing defeat in the Congress in April. She now faces trial by the Senate on charges of doctoring government accounts to give an unrealistically healthy impression ahead of the 2014 election. Temer was Rousseff's vice president before withdrawing his party's support in March. Rousseff has accused him of involvement in a coup. Meanwhile, hundreds of Brazilians took to the streets in Sao Paulo after Rousseff's suspension, even as other nations closely monitored developments in Brazil.
关于你提到第一个问题，我们确实密切关注巴西国内形势的发展。我们呢也希望巴西国内所有有关各方能够妥善地处理当前的局面，保持国家政治稳定和社会经济发展。
Así que Venezuela repudia, rechaza la canallada injusta que se ha hecho contra esta gran mujer brasilera, gran líder latinoamericana, la presidenta Dilma Rousseff.
While the next 180 days will be rough for Rousseff, Temer has the immensely difficult task of winning back the trust of Brazilians. Besides setting right the precarious state of the Brazilian economy, Temer must deal with the Zika virus epidemic and a fraught 2016 Olympics. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The man believed to be Hezbollah's most senior military commander in Syria's war has been killed in Damascus. Mustafa Amin Badruddin died in a large explosion near Damascus airport. Badruddin is charged with leading the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri in Beirut in 2005. This is the biggest blow to the Iranian-backed organization since its military chief was killed in 2008. Hezbollah supports Syria's President Bashar al-Assad and has sent thousands of fighters into Syria. While reports suggest the blast that killed Badruddin had been caused by an Israeli airstrike, Hezbollah said that it was investigating whether a missile or artillery strike had been responsible for it. There was no immediate reaction from the Israeli government, which has authorized at least 8 airstrikes against targets inside Syria since the start of the civil war 5 years ago. And now let's change tracks. Get you all the latest from the world of sports in Sports Wrap. Former India captain Anil Kumble was today appointed as the ICC Cricket Committee chairman for the second term of 3 years. Kumble was appointed as the chairman for his first term in 2012, while Rahul Dravid was named as the member of the top panel, replacing former Sri Lanka captain Kumar Sangakkara, who has completed his final 3-year term. Indian boxing star Vijender Singh will take on Poland's Andrzej Soldra in his first 8-round professional contest today at Macron Stadium in Bolton. The 30-year-old Indian super middleweight ace is undefeated in 5 fights with 5 knockouts in only 14 rounds of action, while Soldra comes into the fight with a sensational record of 12 wins with 5 knockouts from 16 fights. The International Boxing Association has extended the deadline for the Boxing Federation of India's elections. IBA had earlier set a May 14th deadline for the formation of the Boxing Federation of India, but has agreed in principle to extend it given the logistics involved. Final dates for conducting elections are not declared as yet. And that's all we have for you on the news at 6. Thanks so much for joining us.